tips for ultramarathon beginners. If you just started running ultramarathons or maybe thinking about running one, or perhaps you want to increase your distance from the 50 kilometers to 50 miles or 100 miles, then watch this video until the end. I had an opportunity to ask top British and American ultramarathon runners about the tips for beginners ultramarathon runners. Russ Cook, who is the English ultramarathon runner, and he is the first person to run entire length of Africa, which was more than 9,940 miles.
Okay, so it's for the new runners, when they hit the wall, what should they do? What should they concentrate on?
They should just focus on the next step ahead of them, because break it down into the smallest chunks possible. Can you do one more step? If the answer is yes, keep going.
Okay, and in terms of the injuries, because you run so many kilometers, how do you protect yourself against the injuries, looking after your body, things like that?
Lots of training, first and foremost, that's the number one, get a good foundation in. But also, a lot of injuries, a lot of them are mental, you just got to keep pushing through the pain barrier and then eventually it'll sort itself out.
Hiya, I'm planning to run from UK to Poland. And can you give me any tips how to secure any sponsors and put the team together?
Yeah.
The sponsor just for the basic, costs.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no problem. Sponsors are a tricky one. It took me ages to figure this out. I was kind of in a similar position where I was thinking, why can't I just get a sponsor? I'd ping off emails to everyone all the time, wouldn't get any replies. One of the things that I worked out after a few conversations with some pals in the game is, and I don't know if they'll like me for saying this or not, but a lot of these brands, their goal is ultimately they're trying to sell shoes, they're trying to sell clothes, they've got products they're trying to sell, right? And they probably don't care as much about your mission as you do, but they do care about selling their stuff. So if you could be a vehicle for that, then they will sponsor you. So for me, it was we went down the hole of thinking, okay, if we can make good content online, if we can build an audience, then brands will come on board, and that's kind of what happened. But making content that people want to engage with is quite an important step for the sponsor stuff.
Scott Jurek, who is an American ultramarathon runner who won Hard Rock 100, Western States, Spartathlon, Badwater, and many, many more races.
Okay, Scott, so what would you do differently if you were starting your running ultras again? Because you've got a big experience.
Yeah, a lot of experience. I mean, I think overall, I don't know. I don't like to think I wish I could have done this differently or not. I feel like it was a constant evolution and process of learning. And I think keeping an open mind, always experimenting. And honestly, I don't know. I don't like to live in the past. I could have always said, I wish I should have, would have, could have, but try to just say, so keeping an open mind and just keeping experimenting. I probably do the same thing. I mean, obviously you learn a lot, but it would be hard to go back and say. I probably wouldn't take olive oil on the run. I talk about that in Eat and Run. So, yeah.
And another one is just if someone is preparing for the 50 kilometers or 50 miles, what advice would you give? Where to start and then how to progress?
The biggest thing I think is doing back-to-backs to simulate the leg and muscle fatigue that you're going to experience. And then the nutrition hydration is so important. You have to do that in training. So I have so many people being like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat and drink all this stuff, but they haven't practiced it in training. So you have to practice it. You have to hone that. You got to make sure you're getting enough carbohydrate, enough electrolytes, enough water, and do that on a regular basis. So that's so key. I mean, training's important. Doing the back-to-backs to get the legs ready and doing those every other week in a training cycle of 3 to 4 weeks. But the key thing is it's not always mileage. It's practicing and simulating what you're going to encounter. So if it's a hilly course, simulating that, making sure you get your downhills in, all of that as much as you can, living wherever you live. I mean, that's the hardest thing is how do you simulate whether it's weather conditions, the terrain, the best possible.
Okay. Yeah, brilliant. And can I have a quick photo as well?
Yes.
Jasmin Paris, who is the English ultramarathon runner, and in 2024 she became the first woman to complete Barclays marathons. She also set the record on Bob Graham round, and she also won in 2019 the Winter Spine Race.
Okay, so the first one, because obviously you are a busy mom. So when the people coming into ultramarathon and they've got the families, they've got the kids, the first question is, how do you train? How do you find the time to train for the ultramarathons?
I mean, the way I do it is I train early in the morning, so I get up before everybody wakes up because that's the only time I can guarantee I'll be able to get out. So it's just about efficiency and prioritising things, I think. So yeah, I set an alarm and I have everything ready to go, and I get out early in the morning. So usually at 5 I get up and train then.
Okay, and another one, because obviously you do a lot of running as well, ultramarathons. How do you protect yourself from the injuries? How to avoid the injuries, how to look after your body after the event as well?
I think the main thing is as I've got older, I've started doing more strength work, so I do that fairly consistently 3 times a week, and I think that really makes a difference. Also cross train, so I cycle to work when I'm in the lab, and I also do some hiking and swimming as well, so I think all those things help. And then just in terms of recovery, it tends to be a fairly kind of active recovery, so just walking and kind of easy running. I give myself time.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Damion Hall, who is the English ultramarathon runner who won the Winter Spine Race in 2023, he also took the 5th place at the UTMB in 2018, and then he is also a running coach.
So thank you very much. So basically the first question would be, what would you do differently if you are running your ultramarathons again? Because you've got a lot of knowledge.
Gosh, I think just making sure you keep easy runs truly easy, and probably fueling enough, eating enough around your training. They're probably the 2 main things. I guess it's common for people to get injured, early on because that over enthusiasm, and I guess just build up slowly. Don't jump from running 3 times a week to 6 times a week. Just build up 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Yeah.
Okay, and because you're the coach as well, for the runners that are looking to run 50 kilometers, 50 miles, I know it's different for everyone, but what sort of weekly mileage would you suggest?
I mean, a lot of people can complete these things on 30 or 40 miles a week. Don't have to be doing sort of epic mileage, and I think if you do more than that, you can do even better. But 30, 40 miles a week, and these races, they are tough. But often we're taking hiking breaks. One of the key skills is eating a lot. So it's not as I think they're more accessible than people realise.
Okay, and the last question. What do you do when you hit the wall?
Number one is eat again, because normally you've run out of your fueling, and 20% of those calories go to your brain. So if you're underfueled and you've hit the wall, you're less motivated and you're probably making less good decisions. So get some snacks in, basically, For some jelly babies or some sweets,
Yep, brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Emma Stuart, who is the Irish ultramarathon runner. She won Tour de France in 2023, Arc of Attrition, and also she took the 3rd place in Trans-Gran Canaria in 2024.
So the first question is just what advice would you give for someone who's just starting the ultra running, wants to go for the 50k or maybe 50 miles?
The best bit of advice is you can definitely do it. So I think people are very intimidated. So lots of people do marathons, but I think a lot of people are intimidated by that step up to the 50k, but it's actually no different. And in fact, I think it's easier because a lot of them are on the trails. So walking is completely acceptable. The biggest misconception about ultra running is that you run all the time.
Yeah.
But actually you don't. You walk a lot of it. And as long as you can eat, you're able to eat and fuel yourself, because you have to fuel yourself. If you're going out for more than 3, 4, 5 hours, you have to fuel. Getting good at fueling. Getting good at understanding that it probably will be uncomfortable, it will be painful, and that's normal. Everybody feels the same. And especially towards the end of a race, you will think that you're going so slowly that everybody's going to catch you up. But actually, everybody's moving slowly. And so it doesn't matter. And it's having that self-belief that it's okay, everything's going fine. But it's about self-belief, believing that you can do it, because you can. Look at how many people have done it.
Yeah.
So you can definitely do it. And that actually, I think a 50k trail race is probably easier physically than a really fast marathon, like London Marathon, you know, where you have to keep running. So that's my advice, is just believe that you can do it and do it.
Okay, and the second one, what do you do when you hit the wall?
Realize that it's temporary. So sometimes I think you can hit a wall and you think you're never going to get through it. But actually, you know, you have some food. So usually if you hit the wall, it's because you haven't got enough energy. That's why you hit the wall. So try and take some fuel on board. And it's amazing what can happen you know, you take a gel on or an energy drink, you know, like, you know, in your pouch, and within 10, 15 minutes, you suddenly start feeling better. And hitting the wall is energy. So it's all back to nutrition. And I think maybe people who run half marathons, road marathons, maybe aren't quite as tuned into the nutrition side of it, and realizing that, like, if you're feeling, actually, Damion Hall has a really good phrase: low mood, have some food. And it's true. Yeah, if you feel bad, it's because you need food.
Yeah. No, cool, brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jack Scott, who is the English ultramarathon runner, he won the Winter Spine Race in 2024, and he is also a running coach.
Okay, because obviously you've been running quite a lot. What do you do when you hit the wall?
Well, obviously, if the wall's coming, you want it as late on in a race as possible. You have to preempt it. You have to visualise that in the training, push through it in training, even though it might not feel comfortable, nice or safe. And when you hit the wall, you've got to ride the wave and look for the next bright light in a race. That can be a checkpoint, that can be a text off a family member, it can be a certain view or a sunrise or a sunset. Deal with the hard times to see the better times in a race. The later on, the better, but sometimes you have to do that in the first 10% of a race.
Okay, and another one is, how do you prevent the injuries and how do you look after yourself after the ultramarathon?
Yeah, again, you need a little bit of luck, you need a little bit of, you know, genetic, something in your blood, something in your bones, something in your system. Can you fine-tune your mindset where you overcome anything? You know, for the spine race last year, for me, it didn't matter what was going to come. It didn't matter what hand I was dealt. I was going to find a way to win the race. And then in the latter stages, I managed to do something a little bit crazy. But I just believe my mindset was so sharp that there was injuries and there was fatigue, but I just managed to push through. And that comes from discipline, it comes from experience, and it comes from being out there and maybe failing a few times before you succeed.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
And then, yeah, I'm looking forward to listening.
Take care.
Thank you.